Blood. 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 Blood is a very powerful substance. It keeps us alive. Some creatures are known to feed on blood. It carries the memories of our ancestors. It can even tell stories of violence when it is spilled. Blood is a subject of great significance both physically and metaphorically, and this significance can be felt everywhere in the lands between. Elden Ring, like so many other FromSoft games, is prone to a number of recurring themes, and while blood is not exactly a new subject for these Soulsborne motifs, I feel there's more to talk about with how it's presented here. Now, I can't claim to have any firm answers regarding this subject, but I do believe it offers some interesting questions. In real life, blood is used to circulate oxygen throughout the body in addition to a number of other functions. However, there are different types of blood for different creatures. Humans and animals have blood, but so do trees. Trees circulate sap through their system, and whereas human blood is used mostly for oxygen distribution, sap carries minerals and nutrients throughout the extremities of a tree. Once upon a time, the Erd tree produced sap. When sap is removed from a tree, it hardens over time into a stone-like substance known as amber. This amber is coveted by those in the lands between for the blessings that such things carry, and is often fashioned into sacred medallions. However, the Erd tree's sap does not carry nutrients, at least not in the sense that real trees do. It is believed that those who die are destined to return to the Erd tree and become a part of it, their souls being soaked up through the tree's roots and finding rest in its leaves, bathed in honeyed rays of gold. Unfortunately, this is not to be. Setting aside the curse of those who live in death, it's concerning to think that perhaps the reason the amber sap of the Erd tree might hold the blessings it does is because it carries the souls of those who have died. And as stated here, the Erd tree stopped producing sap a long time ago. One cannot help but wonder if a certain Prince of Death might be connected. Of course, there are others who have use for blood. The Formless Mother, an outer god seemingly with no form or body, yet she craves wounds, and to commune with her one must pierce her body and grant that wish. It seems that the Formless Mother has a particular fondness for those with accursed blood, so much so that she chose the omen Mohg to be her lord and envoy. An omen whose accursed blood marked him as an abomination in the eyes of both the peasantry and even his own royal family. It should be noted that Mohg and Morgott, both children with the ominous accursed blood, were born of Queen Marika, who is of course the earthly avatar of the titular Elden Ring. Mohg tried to use the blood of the Formless Mother, and possibly even others, to elevate the youthful Miquella to full godhood so that the Formless Mother would have an avatar of her own, and Mohg would be his consort. Sadly for him, this did not work. Possibly because Miquella was already dead from his forced removal from the Halig tree, or perhaps Mohg didn't understand the mother's will as well as he thought, for no matter how much blood he used, the young Empyrean would not stir. Before being taken by the accursed Mohg, Miquella had his own plans for how to use his demigod status. Miquella, who sympathized with those who were mistreated and misunderstood in the lands between, and wanted to help others like his sister Melania, who had suffered at the whims of the outer gods, tried to make his own tree. The Halig tree was meant to be a refuge and safe haven for the misbegotten, the Albinaurics, and most importantly, those afflicted with scarlet rot. Miquella, who had studied a great deal under his father Radagon, took it upon his very flesh to ensure the tree's success, embedding himself in the roots of the tree to facilitate its growth. Personally, I think it can be assumed if the sap of the Erd tree carries the blessings of those who have died, or even those of the greater wills, Then, with the blood of Mikola running through its roots, who knows what kind of effects the Halig tree would have had. Maybe its sap and amber could have cured the scarlet rot, or prolonged the life of the albinaurics. This, however, was not meant to be. For once the Omen Moog removed Mikola from its roots, the Halig tree became little more than a withering husk of a lofty dream, forgotten long ago. There is no refuge here, no safe haven, not anymore. There is only rot. This begs a question, though. What is this focus on blood? Why does the Erd tree no longer produce sap? Why does the Formless Mother crave blood and wounds of her own? What is the significance of blood in the lands between? Zeostorm has produced a number of fascinating lore videos covering Elden Ring, some of which extensively cover the alchemical inspirations and themes of the game. If you haven't seen his videos, you should go check them out. But for the time being, let it be known that alchemy is an important factor in Elden Ring's storytelling. And in alchemy, there is a process known as rubido. Now, the following is taken from Wikipedia, so take this with a grain of salt. Rubido is a Latin word meaning redness that was adopted by alchemists to define the fourth and final major stage in their magnum opus. Both gold and the Philosopher's Stone were associated with the color red, as rubido signaled alchemical success and the end of the great work. The three alchemical stages preceding rubido were negredo, blackness, which represented putrefaction and spiritual death; albedo, whiteness, which represented purification; and citrinitas, yellowness, the solar dawn or awakening. Some sources describe the alchemical process as three-phased, with citrinitas serving as a mere extension and takes place between albedo and rubido. The rubido stage entails the attempt of the alchemist to integrate the psycho-spiritual outcomes of the process into a coherent sense of self before its re-entry into the world. The stage can take some time or years to complete due to the required synthesis and substantiation of insights and experiences. The symbols used in alchemical writing and art to represent this red stage can include blood, a phoenix, a rose, a crowned king, or a figure wearing red clothes. Countless sources mention a reddening process. The 17th dictum of the 12th century Turba Philosophorum is one example. O Turba of philosophers and disciples, now hast thou spoken about making into white, but it yet remains to treat concerning the reddening. Know all ye seekers after this art, that unless ye whiten, ye cannot make red, because the two natures are nothing other than red and white. Whiten, therefore, the red, and redden, therefore, the white. In psychology, there's a lot of symbolism behind these alchemical processes, and could be at the heart of what's happening in the lands between. I'm not certain as to the full meaning, but we can glean some possibilities. Red represents a sense of self, and the rubido process manifests a wholeness, at which point a person discovers their true nature. The inherent inner struggle of such a thing can be seen in the story of Marika and Radagon, two halves struggling over their own vision of wholeness. But red applies to more than just the red hair of Radagon. There's the red of Bloodlord Moog, who tries to effectively force this rubido process on the unconscious and unwilling Mikola. Perhaps this could represent the futility of an incomplete pairing. Marika and Radagon had known each other for years, and were in some manner the same person. They were bound by oath and by the grace of the greater will, had fought together, won battles together, and formed a nation. Even with all that, when the final moments came to bring the greater will's goal to fruition, they splintered. They struggled and eventually shattered. So what hope could Moog have? An omen whose affection was a mere infatuation, an obsession born of the misguided charismatic influence of the young Empyrean. Moog had the red, but he failed to see the white. Also, Rubidoux is meant to be a kind of culmination of experiences, fermenting in one's own history and beliefs to become your true self. Marika and Radagon, if we assume their Rubidoux process involved the sap of the Erd Tree, this involved the beliefs and ideals of all those who believed, followed, and worshipped them. However flawed they might have been, there was a bond between the demigods and the people who offered their souls to the Erd Tree and its golden order. The blood of Moog, however, was taken. Maybe some of it was from Moog himself, or from the Formless Mother. However, it's reasonable to assume that much of it was taken from the hunted victims of Moog's bloody fingers. There is no history in this blood. There is no bond. And despite what Vare may have us believe, there is no love. If this process were to have any effect on Miquella, can we be sure that the final self of the god created would be the same as what Moog believed he loved so much before? The story of Elden Ring is a process, a cycle. Life, death, self-discovery, and wholeness. Shifting forces controlled by the conflicting wills of the outer gods. Some may try to halt this process like Marika did, but such stagnation can only stand for so long. So the end of the story is up to us. What is the true self of the world we desire? Whatever the end of this story, it shall be written in blood and sap.